as we can accept our own humanity and we can take ownership over our own humanity, we can become more loving, accepting of other people's humanity, be more gracious towards them, be more honest towards them, be more vulnerable with them. And we can do life in a way that's transformative, not just for us, but for our relationships and ultimately our community and our world.
Yeah.
Like, you doing the work of being the youiest, healthiest version of you isn't just for you or your family. It is for the world.
Hello?
I can't believe it.
I know. Okay, I can't. Well, first of all, I can't believe it, and I am kind of in denial.
I know.
Which is the way you like to live.
Exactly.
She loves denial.
I love denial. But we got to face the reality.
What we're denying, what we're in disbelief about, is that this is actually the last installment in this podcast series. And it's kind of freaking us out.
It is. It's the last episode of the season. And it's also the last time we're talking about my book.
I know.
Well, maybe not the last time, but it's like we're at the end.
Yeah. Which, boy, it was only a year ago we were just talking about your book coming out.
I know.
All that kind of crazy stuff and all that you've been through to get this book out there and the work that you've done and some of the soul-sucking work that you've done to get it out.
Yes.
And then, like, hanging in with me long enough to unpack it for our listeners and viewers. Because, you know, we could have just said, here you go, read the book.
Well, I got to be honest that going through the book has been challenging for me. It's one thing to write it. It's another thing to live it.
Is that like the physician heal thyself?
Yeah.
Author?
Yeah.
Sort yourself out.
And so every single time I have to talk through the chapters or the content, and then I got to bring my full self to it because I want this to be authentic. It's kind of like, gosh, I thought I had conquered that thing and I haven't. But then again, the reminder of self-compassion and a reminder to all of you that this is a lifelong journey of transformation.
Yeah.
This is going to be again and again and again. And we're talking about integration as if we can always remain this integrated self, full of self-knowledge and awareness and self-mastery. And it's just this forever
Wow.
thing.
What a lie that is.
I know.
That's a big loogie.
Yeah, it is.
Right there.
So it is like grace and compassion for the fact that you're a work in progress, that you are a messy human being. But that's part of what makes you kind of lovable if you're able to acknowledge that vulnerability in you, that work in progress in you, if you're able to be humble about that. And at the same time to like celebrate. Like, how far have you come since we started this journey? How far have we come since we started this journey?
Well, first of all, because, you know, I've read the book many times now.
Yes, by this point.
And I've been in the group that has chipped away at the chapters, etc. And yet here we are, and I'm still reading chapters and going,
I know.
I'm underlining things that I'm getting new things out of it. Because that's the way we are as human beings.
Right.
Things land on us differently at different stages and places in our life because we're more receptive to it or we're walking through it and we can then receive it.
Right.
So this lifelong journey is about all the stages of receptivity in our lives. The stage that we're at that, picking up the book and reading it is going to speak to us differently. And that's just that's how life goes.
It is.
And yet there is this big lie out there that when we've done the work, when we've, gone through the checklists, when we've done the therapy or the counseling and we've done the coaching, that somehow we have arrived.
Right.
And that is so untrue.
Maybe we can change it that the word is we are arriving.
Yes.
So it's this ongoing action, movement, continuous growth. We've never arrived, but we are arriving. And so this chapter, we're going to kind of wrap up the integrated self and then the essential self, because it's kind of, if you read the last chapter, I basically kind of say, I just want to end this chapter by saying the end, because I don't have any more words of wisdom. I'm all out. It's the reminder that it's the ongoing process.
That's right.
And so the integrated self Oh gosh. I mean, I start the chapter sharing about how I had gotten the results from a test I did on the Enneagram, and I scored low in integration. And I have to admit, the shame built up in my stomach, went up here, and I was so much less healthy in those days because I right away was like, this is wrong. And this is wrong. There must have been some error in how it was calculated.
Yeah.
I probably checked off the wrong thing and all my answers slid off and they were all wrong as a result. And I even reached out to the test people to,
Plead your case.
Plead my case. And then I realized, well, a couple of things. Part of why I scored so low in integration, and this is what I tell clients who also score really low, is I truly was blind to my blind spots.
Yeah.
But the other part is I have been so self-critical that I was actually rating myself really low in things too. So it was a combination of the two. Regardless, it was a big sort of a wake-up call that walked me through all sorts of emotions that made me realize that I can preach it, but am I living it? And it was good. And it wasn't a shame-based, am I living it? It was kind of like a reminder to stay honest with myself about what I still needed to do to continue re-becoming.
Yes.
So that's also an ing thing.
That's right.
So we are integrating.
Right.
And it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, Mary, because whenever I'm coaching somebody with the Enneagram as our basis, that's the first thing I'll address.
Yes.
I will say to them, oh, you may have noticed that on page blah, 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 your level of integration is moderate, low to moderate. And they'll be like, yeah, I was wondering about that. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Guess who else is low to moderate? Moi. And then I can unpack it and say, and there are reasons for that we're going to dig into, but, don't let that be your block, your stumbling block in receiving all the positive things about you and the attributes and the way you show up in the world. And let's talk about that. So I'm glad, being at a low to moderate level of integration in life is part of life.
It is.
And what I've found in my own journey is that there's ebbs and flows. Sometimes I think I'm stinking rocking it.
Yeah. And you are.
And then other times I'm like,
I know.
Jillian,
I know.
have you done has anything sunk in?
Yeah.
Has anything landed from, what do they say, in the Hebraic terms, to the heart?
Right.
Has it got from the head to the heart? Or is it just all stuck up here in head knowledge?
It's just all head knowledge and we haven't put it into action.
And I find that in coaching situations, people do have a lot of head knowledge.
That's not the problem.
No,
it's
it is not the problem.
Yeah.
It is not a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's a lack of getting it from here down to the living it out.
And it's also the reality that we are complex beings. We are many layers. And, you said last episode about how things can hit home only when. It's like you've got to work through some things before you get to that point. So I think it's important to give yourself grace in that. But I think the honesty, the self-honesty around how, for me, for example, when I'm feeling stressed, I'm so unintegrated. Stress.
There's disintegration.
Big changes in my life. And sometimes I do it to myself too. But I'm aware of it. And I think that's key. I'm aware of it. I'm aware that I'm falling to old patterns. I'm aware that I am getting defensive. My walls are going up. I'm shutting down. All the things that I do that prevent me from being integrated. The other thing too is the old patterns is, I've said this before, people pleasing, performing, and what's my third B? Perfectionism. And I remember I was with a friend, and one of the blind spots of a two is our longing so much to be liked that we can fall into flattery. And I was flattering her, but in a genuine way. I really believe what I was saying. But I did it by comparing her. I kind of elevated her.
Oh.
And then put myself down.
Oh.
And I think deep down I was hoping she would kind of go, well, you're great in that too. And
Yes.
she didn't. She gave me advice on how to be better in that area, which was great. I mean, because she had no idea what I was doing. But for me, I was acting out of a shadow self, less integrated part of myself. But the part that was getting more integrated was awareness, almost like real time, with almost immediately going, what the heck am I doing?
Yes.
And the recognition that I was doing that and being able to stop it and to shift gears. And that's what I feel is part of the growth of the integration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I find that too. Sometimes, like as much as you can track it real time, you're in the midst of it.
Oh, gosh.
Like you're not going to go, blah, blah, blah.
No.
You can't do that.
You
can't rewind the reel. So here is like growth and transformation. When you know you're growing and transforming is when you've put the thing out there and your mind is saying,
shoot,
what are you doing?
Yes.
Why are you doing this? It's because you want this outcome, and you can't reel it back. And then to stop yourself, because you've done it, is then not to get into the shame piece.
The shame piece and the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
See, that's where the integration really comes in.
Yeah.
Because you're able to go, oh, what a weirdo I am. And then I know what I'm doing, but I can't reel it back. And now I'm going to stop myself from the shame, blame, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That is true. That is when integration is zinging.
It's zinging. And then on top of that, I can go, I can't reel back what I just did, but I can think through the implications of it. Is it worth making a big deal of it when the other person didn't even notice?
That's right.
And is this a personal growth moment?
Yeah.
Or is this a relational growth moment and I need to apologize?
That's right.
Or I need to kind of be honest with it.
Yeah.
And so it's that sort of like self-acceptance, grace for ourselves. We're a work in progress. We can be self-aware. And we can stop some of the negative patterns of responses when we recognize our own humanity. Yes. And we can hold on to the truth that we are both a work in progress, growing, wonderful, amazing people. But we're also messy, make mistakes, screw up. Yep. And we can hold both of them, and one doesn't deny the other.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't cancel the other one out. It
doesn't cancel the other one out. And the more aware I am of my shadow self, it doesn't mean that, oh gosh, I should be so ashamed of her and put her aside and all that. But it is the recognition that I can actually hold on to those things. It helps also to think about integration in terms of how we see life.
That's right.
And how we can be resilient in life, so that it's not that we deny all the bad stuff and we're in this place of like happy land, because that's no good, because we have to face problems. But then at the other end, if life is always woe is me and we're being Eeyore about the whole thing, Eeyore. I said that with a bit of an accent. Eeyore. Then we're not actually letting joy come into our life.
That's right.
We can be both feeling pain and joy at the same time.
That's right.
And that's part of being human.
That's the tension of being human, and that's the joy of being human.
Exactly.
Is we can experience both. So I share this very funny story with our group, which could have been a shame-inducing moment for me.
Right.
So I'm in conversation with this man.
Yeah.
And like
I already know the story.
So I'm in this conversation with a man, and we're just chit-chatting back and forth. And he goes...
And he's a stranger, by the way.
He's a complete stranger. And it's in a shop, and he goes to leave, and I go, love ya. And I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, please, I hope he didn't hear me. So I'm telling this story, and it's funny to me.
Yes.
And I could have what a jerk. Shoulda. What does he think of me? I'm a loser. He's trying.
Or you're trying to pick him up
or whatever it is. And so I shared the story. Well, all weekend long, your husband teased me about it. He's like, love ya. We're going off to our room at night, and he's like, love ya. All weekend long. And I found it hysterical.
It was very good.
But in previous contexts, I would have been like, what an idiot you are. Like, what is he going to think?
And
like,
reliving it.
oh, the ruminating, and all that
ruminating,
stuff.
all that, yeah.
And that's just a funny story. But it's the reason we watch TV,
Yeah.
right? It is the reason we watch TV is to watch other people goof up, and then we can laugh at them.
Yeah.
Because it's our human story.
Yeah. Well, we should just end right there. It's our human story. That is gold.
It is our human story.
Yes. And I think, too, this is the really, really cool thing, is it all kind of comes together, at least in my brain, is that as we can accept our own humanity and we can take ownership over our own humanity, we can become more loving, accepting of other people's humanity, be more gracious towards them, be more honest towards them, be more vulnerable with them. And we can do life in a way that's transformative, not just for us, but for our relationships and ultimately our community and our world.
Yeah.
Like, you doing the work of being the youiest, healthiest version of you isn't just for you or your family. It is for the world.
That's right.
It is transformative for the world. I mean, it may feel like you make little difference in this world. And I hope by this point, you've done the journey enough to kind of go, wait, I actually am of value. There is nobody else on the face of this planet who is like me. And therefore, I have purpose in this world. And if I can live out the youiest version, or me-iest version of me, and I have that integration with myself and my humanity, I can then do the same for others, and I can serve others, I can love others, I can make the world a better place, which sounds so naive, but it's not. It is true. It is things that we can actually do to make a difference.
You know, I have this vision in my head, and it's kind of like the difference between The Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Captain Underpants.
Okay, tell me more.
I have no control over where my brain goes when Mary talks.
It's true. I am always surprised, and it's a lot of fun.
I have no control over it. However, you know, I know, viewer, that you've probably seen The Diary of the Wimpy Kid, the image on the front, and Captain Underpants, you know, with the image on the front. Like, if we could make a cartoon...
And if you haven't, just Google it.
Yeah, that's right. But if we could make a cartoon version of ourselves, wearing a cape.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and that cape says, the me-iest me, or the youiest you, or whatever you want to put on the cape.
Yeah.
You know, or you're just your initial. G.
Yeah.
Super G. I've got a cape that says Super G on
I know
the back.
you do. I am so envious of
know.
it.
So, anyway, if you could just imagine yourself with this cape on, and you just start writing down the attributes about yourself that you like, and then we did it in our group the other day. What are the attributes that we like about each other? Just start, even if you don't believe it, put it down because somebody else said it to you, right? And it's coming from a place of truth. And, like, who is this essential self, and what is our birthright?
Yeah.
And, like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it as an exercise.
Yeah.
I need to see that almost every day. Well, I do need to see it every day. Because I forget I forget my birthright, and I forget my essential self.
There is a very good video of you skipping down the road wearing a Super G cape.
That's true.
Maybe that's one that you should have on your phone.
Maybe.
To watch it again.
Yeah.
But I think you're onto something there. Like, sometimes the work of growth seems so long and forever that we lose sight of what we're aiming towards and why.
Yeah.
And how worth it is for you personally, but also for the world and the influence that you have in this world. And so, like, perhaps, you know, having now gone through the work, and I know you'll go back, as we will, to many of the chapters, because we have to keep kind of practicing these skills. But to have this vision of what life can be as your essential self.
That's right.
This hope of you. That, by the way, because I am a person of faith, I believe that you were created already with that potential.
Yeah.
And that your responsibility is to fulfill that potential. And so what is that youiest you look like?
As kind of only you can.
As only you can. As only you can sparkle in this world.
Yeah, so you just said something a minute ago that I just want to, like, I think we need to tell our viewers this.
Okay.
So if you were to look at this book by Dr. Mary Sealand and this Rebecoming and go, which chapter would you go back to at this stage in your life right now where you're at and go, oh, I need to really dig into that chapter again.
Yeah. You're asking me which chapter?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you too. You want me to tell you first so you can think?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've already told you that this idea of the word birthright is really like, it's on me.
Yeah.
It's landed on me.
Yeah.
I'm in a place to receive it right now and to think about it. So the season in my life right now is, what is my birthright? That's number one. But the other one that came out of our podcasting time is this idea of learned helplessness.
Oh, gosh.
I know. I know. So where am I living out learned helplessness in my life that is not working for me or others? And I don't want that to be the one. I would have picked another one.
Right.
But that's not truthful. If I were just to go, oh, well, no. Where am I practicing learned helplessness in my life?
Right.
And what is my birthright? So those are
so
I
good.
know.
And you know what? I have to say that would be the same for me. But the other thing that resonates with me, because after our group, we were having some conversation and I asked you afterwards for your feedback. And you said to me, I think you're owning more than your fair share of the situation.
Yep. You're doing the heavy lifting.
I'm doing the heavy lifting. And I was like, oh. And so for me, I know that chapter in overfunctioning is a big one for me. And it's not that I don't know the concept well. I mean, I teach it in so many workshops, but yet it is the thing that I struggle with. And I have a really hard time finding that line of what's yours versus what's mine. So I think that's something that I need to go back to.
So it sounds like the overfunctioning and the internal locus of control and external locus of control are kind of in
linked for
battle.
Me. Yeah.
And they're tag teaming to have you take on more than you should, do more heavy lifting than you should.
And back to what you said about the birthright part is I still struggle with affirming myself. And when I think about the little girl, Mary, and I've got really cute pictures of me as a little...
You're super cute.
Yeah. Yeah, with the little bowl cut and everything.
I know.
I feel sad for what she didn't hear when she was growing up. And so I still think I'm working through some feelings of sadness, of missed longings and missed needs.
Yeah.
And even to be able to acknowledge that. So I don't know what chapter vulnerability is part of it, but also like the self-compassion part of it is really key for me. I like when we were going through it in a group, I was kind of like almost a deer in headlights talking about self-compassion because we were going through actual examples of times where I was just really bad to myself.
Yes.
And so I think it's a bunch of different chapters, but it's around that acknowledging my need for affirmation, being able to see that value in myself, that birthright, me is me, and the value that she brings to the table. That's not just based on my performance and my doing for others.
That's right. And so listeners and viewers, you've heard from the author herself, and you've heard from me as we have worked through this material a lot. And we are still working through this material.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like, oh, I've read this book and I still feel like there's more and more. Yeah, of course there's more and more. And, you know, it will land differently when you pick up the book again 6 months from now or a year from now and go back and go, oh, wow, shame is really a part of my life. And I've got to dig into that. So in this journey, I think if we can say anything that would be helpful is this is lifelong.
Yeah.
Transformation is lifelong. The wisdom piece is foundational. What you don't know at this point. And what you haven't lived out, you haven't lived out. And there's going to be situations where you're going to be learning constantly about yourself, and trust yourself in the process because you know yourself best and you can do the deep digging down, according to the questions, and really get to know what's going on. And just like you're saying, I'm still working through that.
I'm still working through that.
And you haven't arrived, and thankfully you haven't arrived, because we would be holding ourselves up to an impossible standard.
Right.
If any of us have said that we have arrived.
Right. Right. Or we're just really being blind to the whole thing.
Sure, exactly.
Oh my gosh. I want to be able to, like, I just actually want to thank you all. For those of you who bought the book, for those of you who have messaged me to encourage me, to let me know how it's impacted you. Like, you don't know how life-giving that has been for me. Thank you for hanging in with us, for giving us this space where we can peel apart our hearts a little bit to share with you what's going on for us, in the hopes that it's encouraging you as well in your journey, that we are truly with you and for you. So I just want to be able to say thank you to that. I want to say thank you to Jillian, because she has done a lot of heavy lifting, because I've had to disappear a bit with the launching of the book, and just the fact that you were able to kind of carry the weight. And thank you to Laura.
Thank you so much.
On some of the episodes along the way. And thank you for those of you who've been following us for some time, and for our new listeners and viewers as well. I know that you are people who are on a journey of growth, and you take it seriously, and you long for it. And so thank you for that. And I just want to wrap up, Jillian and I want to share that it is the end of this season. We've been thinking about life and us and all of those kinds of things, and we feel like we've talked a lot. But I also know that we still have things that we want to say. So going forward into next season, we're going to do it more topically.
Yes.
So it's not going to be a season that starts from September and then ends in June. It's going to be as we feel gripped by a particular topic. We're going to do kind of like a limited series or a mini series on that particular topic. And so please follow us on our social media, The Fully Lived Life on Instagram, our YouTube channel, because that's where you can get all the information when we're about to launch anything new. And so it's not going to be as predictable of a flow. But we will tell you in advance it's going to be a 6-part series, or it's going to be this or that, or whatever it might be. And as always, please reach out to us through social media. We love to hear from you, and we do answer. And even things that, if you have thoughts or ideas of topics that you wish we would dig into, we would love to hear that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging in with us this season. I mean, it's been a challenging season for both of us as we've worked through this material. She is the good doctor, not just in name, but in title. And I've just so appreciated your wisdom and the way you've brought this book to life. I know it's been a huge gift to me and to others, I know. And so, if you haven't already get a copy, grab a copy. This is a great time to grab another one for a friend and hand it off to someone you know that might benefit from it. As you have. So thanks so much for being with us, and we wish you all the best and lots of growth and fun ahead, and stay tuned for what's next from us.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Fully Lived Life podcast. We hope you found it encouraging and helpful. Be sure to follow or subscribe so that you never miss a new episode. And if you enjoyed our show, please help spread the word by sharing with your friends and family and posting on your social media. Thanks for listening, and tune in to our next episode.